Introduce to you the three speakers. We have Lukasz KRZYZANOWSKI from the Polish Academy of Sciences, Anna Cichopek-Graje from University of Arizona, and Gabriel Finder from the University of Virginia, who will address the post-World War II, immediate aftermath of World War II. You do have the bios, extensive bios in the program, and all of the panelists have written extensively and very thoughtfully on the subject of remarks on the survivors' return, as well as the questions of justice after World War II. Lukasz KRZYZANOWSKI's book, which appeared in Poland in Polish, is being translated and prepared by Harvard University Press, so it should come out sometime next year, 2020, in the spring of 2020. So look out for this. It will first show on Amazon for the pre-order when it's ready to. I know from experience. And Anna Cichopek-Graje's book, Beyond Violence, Jewish Survivors in Poland and Slovakia, was the finalist of the 2016 Jordan Schweitzer Award of the Association for Jewish Studies, and a recipient of the 2015 Held Prize Honorable Mention. And I want to mention Gabriel Finder, whose he started work on Jewish honor courts, revenge, retribution, and reconciliation in Europe. He has written on Justice Behind the Iron Curtain and co-edited a book on humor and the Holocaust. But one important aspect of Gabriel's biography that is not very typical of academics, that he not only holds a PhD in history and academic discipline, but he also holds a law degree from the University of Pennsylvania and practiced criminal law for 5 years. So he has a very unique perspective. So again, without further ado, this way we have a little bit more time and we don't have to rush the speakers. We have more time to talk. Okay, so join me in welcoming Lukasz KRZYZANOWSKI.
Thank you very much. Good morning, and I'm very honored to be here. Thank you very much to YIVO, Fordham, and Columbia for the invitation. When I look out through the window this morning, I was also very happy that this event is taking place indoors. It was only after I received the program of this conference, I realized that my paper ought to provide context for the presentations of the other speakers. Therefore, I would like to offer you some insights into the issue of how the Second World War and the Holocaust changed Poland and its society. My focus today will be the country, the social environment which Jewish Holocaust survivors were returning to immediately after the war, and in which some of them attempted to start their lives anew. That leads us directly to the question, what Polish society and who were the Poles? In order to address these issues, we need to take 2 steps back and begin our story in pre-war Poland and the 2 competing visions of the nation. The first saw Poles as civic nation, a multi-ethnic nation of people united by common Polish citizenship and civic values. The second represented the nation understood as ethnos, a community bound together by biological or semi-biological ties. In practical terms, the latter approach resulted in the idea that only ethnic Poles have the right to rule Poland, and anybody who disagreed with them was an enemy of Polish nation and a stranger or an outsider. Simply put, the ethnic definition of the nation had won the day. These pre-existing cultural and religious differences between the citizens of Poland were used in a political struggle in the interwar period. This contributed not only to the discrimination of Jewish citizens and a growing distance between Polish Catholics and Polish Jews, but also to the formation of a widespread notion of distinct and mutually exclusive categories, that is, Poles and Jews. During the Second World War, the fate of the Jews and the fate of the Polish Christians was different, often extremely so. The Jewish experience is expressed by simply unimaginable suffering, personal suffering, and the suffering of one's loved ones, loss of family and home, loss of social status and property and hunger, or several years of living in a state of extreme danger caused by these factors. The Polish Christian experience had a more ambivalent character. On the one hand, the life of the non-Jewish Poles under German authority was also marked by daily death and terror, such as forced labor, roundups in the cities, mass executions, burning down villages, or other acts of retaliation. On the other hand, however, new possibilities came into being. They opened up precisely in connection with the German occupation and the Holocaust, and some part of the non-Jewish inhabitants of the country eagerly profited from them. Kazimierz Wyka, a Polish literary scholar, already in 1945 referred to the manifestation of such attitudes as, quote, inert and automatic entry of the Polish element into the place vacated by the Jews. End of quote. Initiated by the Germans, the systematic murder of the Jewish population was used by some neighbors to improve their own material and social situation, a pattern of behavior that occurred and continues to occur wherever genocide takes place. Non-Jewish Poles, although persecuted by German occupier, were in a privileged position compared to their Jewish fellow citizens. The German occupation broke Polish society apart into two almost completely disconnected groups, Polish Jews and Polish Christians. The distance that existed between them before the war now became a genuine abyss. It was such experiences that Polish citizens who survived the war, both Jews and non-Jews, mapped onto the possible reality. Poland after the Second World War can serve as an extreme example of the thesis that war is a social revolution that radically transforms a country and its society. As a result of the war, the territory of Poland was not only reduced in its size, but also changed its address by moving westwards. The country lost its eastern provinces to the Soviet Union and gained new lands in the north and west. Poland suffered devastation and upheavals on an enormous scale. Vast areas were badly destroyed due to heavy fighting or Allied bombardment. An American photographer, John Waken, arrived in Warsaw in January 1946 on an assignment for the United Letters written to his wife Penny. He described his experience in the following way. You can hardly get an idea of what it must have been like from just miles and miles of bricks and skeletons of buildings. Wherever you go here, it is chunks of buildings standing up without roofs or much sides and people living in them, except the ghetto, where it is just a great plain of bricks. In fact, this quote can be used as a metaphor of the Polish Christian and Jewish experiences. The war had profoundly changed not only the shape of the country and its landscape, but also its society. The final death toll of the war remains unknown. The most recent estimates state that approximately 5 million Polish citizens, including approximately 3 million Polish Jews, died during the war. Such enormous losses changed the composition of society. Indeed, almost no family remained intact. The country's elite was particularly affected. Nearly 38% of educated professionals lost their lives. Poland was deprived of more than half of its lawyers, 40% of physicians, and 30% of university professors and members of Catholic clergy. While most Christian Poles lost someone, Jewish survivors lost almost everyone. In addition to citizens who had been killed, many people remained outside of the country. They could not or did not want to return. Altogether, Poland lost nearly a quarter of its pre-war population. In the cities, it was even more dramatic. 1/3 of urban inhabitants was gone. Yet, this was just one of many changes that Polish society experienced. Towards the end of the 1940s, Polish society became virtually homogeneous. Over 90% of its Jews were killed, and most of the survivors left the country soon after the war, and we'll hear more about that from the next speaker. The few Jewish survivors who stayed had blended into Catholic majority. With the loss of the eastern provinces, Poland had also lost almost all of its pre-war Ukrainian and Belarusian citizens. In 1947, those Ukrainians who remained were forcibly resettled to various locations of western and northern Poland in the wake of violent conflict between Polish government forces and Ukrainian partisans. In addition to this, as many as 5 million ethnic Germans were expelled between 1945 and 1949, primarily from the western territories annexed by Poland after the war. Although the large-scale armed conflict had ended, ethnic cleansing continued into the immediate post-war. In the course of a decade, from 1939 to 1949, Polish society had lost its ethnic, linguistic, religious, and cultural diversity and became homogeneous to the extent it had never been before. Furthermore, even those Polish citizens who remained in the country and were not subject to resettlement were most often on the move. If one object could symbolize the society of Poland in the immediate aftermath of the war, it would be a suitcase, a rucksack, or a bundle that held one's belongings. At least 250,000 non-Jews and Jews returned to Poland from the Soviet heartland by the summer of 1946. Due to the population exchange agreement between Poland and the Soviet Union, a further 1.5 million Polish citizens were, as it was called then, repatriated from the formerly Polish areas such as Lviv or Vilnius, which became Soviet after the war. John Waken described such railway transports. Quote, "The trains were 50 or 60 boxcars, 24 to 30 people living in each one of them, with their furniture, cattle, horses, etc. It takes 3 weeks for one of them to get across Poland. Some awfully miserable sights. Starved-looking people, kids without shoes, women wrapped in old sacks. On one train were 6 boxcars of Jews, who looked more miserable than anyone else. They are segregated, of course." End of quote. An additional 1.6 million Polish citizens, mostly former forced laborers, had returned to Poland by the end of 1947 from Allied-occupied Germany. There were also Polish soldiers coming back from Britain, though many of them could not or did not want to return. The war had also obviously impacted the country's economy. The national income of Poland in 1945 constituted only 38% of that of 1938. Heavy industry lay in ruin. Virtually all factories were destroyed or dismantled, and its machinery taken away by either retreating Germans or conquering Soviets. Moreover, most of the craftsmen were also unable to return to their former professions. Craftsmanship was a branch of the economy with high presence of Jews. Most of the craftsmen had perished in the Holocaust. The few who survived could not easily return, as it proved very difficult or even impossible to recover their tools and workshops. In addition, the extreme winter of 1946, followed by serious flooding in the spring of 1947, further increased food shortages and drastically increased prices. The country was in ruin. Virtually everything was in shortage. A significant portion of the country's population faced the possibility of starvation and was already suffering from serious malnutrition. John Waken visited the countryside around Kielce, some 200 kilometers south of Warsaw. He noted, "We toured the area and saw how badly off the people are. They live in shacks and dugouts near the destroyed barns and houses. They eat potatoes and absolutely nothing else but potatoes. They have children and tell you they had milk last summer, or they had bread 3 months ago. The women often start to cry when they are being questioned. The fields are still mined." End of quote. The war left a deep mark on the citizens of Poland. A team of Polish psychologists working in the early post-war indicated that many people were living with what they called then a war syndrome, a condition later identified as post-traumatic stress disorder. Its symptoms, anxiety, depression, alcohol abuse, and increase of aggression, all of which had significant influence on social life in the immediate aftermath of the war. Furthermore, in order to survive the violent military occupation, people needed to adjust to that reality. This resulted in changing social norms, strengthening family bonds at the expense of other social ties, developing dual norms. Those applied to family and those applied to others and the state. Although the war was over, ingrained wartime habits and adaptation strategies continued long after. The situation in the country in the post-war period was itself a new source of trauma. The previously mentioned phenomena, together with the weakness of the state, the shortage of virtually everything, widespread poverty and easy access to weapons, resulted in an extremely high level of crime both in the cities and in the countryside. It was further increased with the presence of the Red Army, fugitive soldiers, and partisans who continued their slide into ordinary banditry. In the first few years after the war, an unprecedented wave of armed robberies, rapes, and murders swept the country. In addition, the sense of instability and anxiety experienced by most inhabitants of Poland was further increased by a change of currency in early 1945, which deprived many of whatever money they had left. Trade based on currency virtually stopped for a half a year. In such an atmosphere, rumors spread quickly, causing immediate panic. In what were the early years of the Cold War, many genuinely expected the outbreak of another global armed conflict. The new communist regime that was installed in Poland with the help of the Soviet Union was not able to fully control the situation in the country, as it was focused on its primary goals of fighting its political opponents and obtaining legitimacy. The communists certainly did not want to be seen as yet another occupying power. Therefore, despite the ongoing targeted terror that the new regime started from the very outset of its rule, it initially permitted a certain level of freedom in public life. It was impossible to make the country totally communist overnight with so little support among the population, especially a population that had a long and celebrated tradition of opposing foreign rule and a society with a strong enmity towards the Soviets, dating back to the Polish-Soviet War of 1919-1921. Hence, The communist-dominated government presented itself as a democratic one, while at the same time it brutally fought against its political opponents. It did not refrain from arresting, torturing, and murdering, as well as falsifying the election results. Government forces, with the support of the NKVD, launched ruthless military actions against various partisan groups. Although in today's narrative, this struggle is depicted as a foreign regime crushing the Poles, more than anything else, it was a bloody and protracted domestic conflict, oftentimes not far from a civil war. The Communist Polish Workers' Party, aware of its weakness, made certain concessions towards the general population and sought to accommodate its mood. It offered common goals that united the citizens of Poland and brought the public closer to the new government, even those who generally opposed the communists. For example, everybody agreed that Warsaw needed to be rebuilt. The communist government used this shared desire to strengthen its position. Further, most of the country's population supported the land reform initiated by the new regime. As a result, large estates were parcellated out and the land was given to the peasants. In fact, putting Nazi war criminals on trial can be also seen as part of such commonly shared objectives, and we'll hear about that from another speaker. In its quest for popular support, in its quest for popular support, the government also exploited traditions. Thus, in the initial period, communist officials participated in Roman Catholics' religious celebrations, precisely as the authorities of the Second Polish Republic had done before the war. The communists did their best to appear as a legitimate government of Poland. Initially, they celebrated all pre-war state holidays, and not without irony, even the anniversary of the Battle of Warsaw of 1920, when Piłsudski's forces defeated the advancing Red Army, which included a young commander by the name of Stalin. Furthermore, in order to obtain legitimacy and gain popular support, the Polish Workers' Party embraced national symbols and nationalistic rhetoric. The most common way of mobilizing the people was by sustaining hatred towards the Germans. That was not that difficult, bearing in mind recent experiences of Nazi atrocities. Resentment towards the Germans was manifested even in such small things as the widespread refusal to capitalize the word German in private but also in official writing. However, mobilizing the people against the common enemy also incited hostility against anyone else considered the other. The communists were walking a tightrope, yet they were willing to do so, to take this risk, at the expense of the country's minorities and Jewish citizens of Poland in particular. In such a situation, any strong action against the widespread antisemitism and anti-Jewish violence in the country would pose a threat to the government's desired image. Moreover, the communist authorities were aware of the composition of their own personnel, especially the fact that the low-level administration shared the popular prejudices of the general population. What the communist government wanted most was to be seen as a Polish government, not a Soviet-imposed and definitely not a Jewish government. Paradoxically, the Polish Workers' Party had come to accept the ethnic definition of the nation that prevailed in the country since the interwar period. Needless to say, a warm embrace of nationalism is not something that we associate with Marxist ideology. But such was the road taken by Polish communists in their long march through Polish institutions. The communist policy of terror, the exploitation of popular moods, and the gradual taking over of various institutions and organizations proved to be very effective. As a result, in 1948, the Stalinization process of Poland was well advanced although some civic institutions were still allowed to operate until the beginning of the 1950s. To conclude, in the immediate aftermath of the Second World War, Poland was the last place one would like to live in. It was a devastated country with more than 5 million of its pre-war residents dead, torn by ethnic cleansing and a dire political conflict. Those who lived in the country formed a peculiar society in which many people were deeply traumatized, displaced, overcome with anxiety, uncertain of their future, poor and hungry. It was no longer a multi-ethnic state. Its society became almost entirely homogeneous. The new regime exploited these conditions and the lingering nationalism in order to secure popular support. This was a country and a social reality that Holocaust survivors were returning to and in which they came to interact with non-Jewish Poles.